People think sunflowers only follow the sun. They imagine bright yellow faces turning eagerly toward the sky, chasing light from morning to evening. And that's where the story usually ends. But that's not the most beautiful part. The most beautiful part is what happens when the sun disappears. Because when the world goes dark, sunflowers don't keep looking up. They turn toward each other. And somehow, that tells us everything about love. There are moments in life when the light fades. Not dramatically, not all at once, just quietly. The kind of darkness that doesn't announce itself, but settles in slowly. The nights when motivation disappears, when your phone feels heavier in your hand, when you don't know what you're waiting for, only that you are. Everyone has nights like that. Nights when the world feels distant, when success, happiness, and clarity all seem like things meant for other people. And in those moments, we search for light, in distractions, in validation, in people. Sometimes we find it, sometimes we don't. But there's a quiet idea, almost poetic in its simplicity, that reframes all of this. It's called the sunflower theory. The sunflower theory isn't really about flowers. It's about how we love, how we survive, and how we find warmth when the source of light we depended on disappears. At first glance, it sounds almost too simple to matter. But the simplest ideas often stay with us the longest, because they don't tell us what to do. They show us who we already are. Here's the science, kept simple. Young sunflowers exhibit something called heliotropism. During the day, they slowly rotate, tracking the movement of the sun from east to west. They follow the light. But when night falls, something unexpected happens. They don't keep turning. They don't chase the moon. They don't look for another source of brightness in the sky. They stop. And then, almost gently, they turn back toward each other, facing one another, waiting together for morning, not searching the darkness, not panicking in the absence of light, just staying. And this is where the science becomes something else entirely. Because when the light disappears, sunflowers don't try to replace it. They don't rush to fill the void. They simply choose connection. In the absence of the sun, they find comfort in what's closest, in each other. And that's the heart of the sunflower theory. Imagine a wide field at dusk. The sky burns orange, then fades to blue. The sun sinks below the horizon, and the warmth slowly drains from the air. Thousands of sunflowers stand quietly, no longer turning, no longer reaching, just facing one another. Still. Or imagine two people sitting side by side, not talking, not fixing anything, just sharing space. The room is dim. The world outside feels loud and distant. But in that small pocket of silence, there's something steady. Presence. Or picture the ocean at night. The waves don't stop just because the light is gone. They keep moving, keep breathing. And somewhere on the shore, a small fire flickers, not bright enough to light the sea, but enough to remind someone they're not alone. These are sunflower moments. Moments when love isn't loud, when it isn't impressive, when it doesn't shine, but it stays. We're taught that love is about being someone's sun, about brightness, about passion, about lighting up their world. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes love is laughter and energy and warmth and possibility. But that's not the whole story. Because the truth is, the sun isn't always there. People get tired. life gets heavy, dreams fall apart, and even the brightest relationships face nights they didn't expect. That's when the sunflower theory matters most. Because real love isn't proven in daylight. It's revealed in darkness. Real love is not always about making someone happy. Sometimes it's about sitting with them when they aren't. It's not always about inspiration. Sometimes it's about reassurance. It's not always about chasing the light. Sometimes it's about turning toward each other and saying, without words, I'm here. Even when there's nothing to fix. Even when there's nothing to say. Even when the night feels endless. But here's the part we don't talk about enough. Not everyone has someone. Not everyone has another sunflower to turn toward. Some people sit alone in the dark, wondering why everyone else seems to have warmth while they're left with questions. And pretending that love is always mutual can feel cruel when you're on the outside of it. The sunflower theory doesn't ignore that. It acknowledges it quietly. Because sometimes, you are the only sunflower in the field. And that hurts. But here's the reframe. Even a single sunflower still turns. Even alone, it still orients itself toward something. And sometimes, that something is learning to face yourself. To become familiar with your own silence. To sit with your own thoughts without running from them. To recognize that surviving the night is, in itself, an act of strength. The sunflower theory isn't saying you'll always have someone. It's saying that connection, whether with others or with yourself, is how we endure darkness. And sometimes, something unexpected happens. When you stop chasing light, when you stop demanding brightness from yourself, when you simply exist honestly in the night, someone notices, someone turns, another sunflower, quietly facing your direction, not because you were shining, but because you were real. So when people say that when you give someone sunflowers, you should always give two, it's not about romance. It's about recognition. It's about saying, when the world is bright, I'll celebrate you. And when the world goes dark, I won't disappear. Because when the sun shines, sunflowers face the light. But when night falls, they face each other. And maybe that's the kind of love we're all searching for. Not the kind that blinds us with brightness, but the kind that stays soft, quiet, present, even in the dark.